The moment you speak your feelings first, you've already signed the warrant for your own defeat. Most people think being honest about their anger is a strength, but in the world of high-stakes success, it is actually the fastest way to kill your authority. You're exhausted, aren't you? Not from your workload, but from the constant grinding friction of having to defend your ego. You felt that bitter sting of regret after winning an argument, only to realize you've lost the respect of the entire room. Today, I'm going to share an ancient story about a cracked clay cup that will change the way you see power forever. By the end, you'll possess the 3-second vault, a mental ritual to stop being a puppet to your impulses and finally reclaim your throne of silent control. But before you can master this vault, you must understand why you are currently carrying a burden that was never yours to bear, a secret weight that is stalling your success right now, which we are about to uncover. Julian didn't just live in the world. He collided with it every single day. Every sharp email was a spark, and every minor critique felt like a forest fire. He prided himself on being authentic, speaking his mind the second a feeling bubbled up. But lately, that authenticity felt less like a bridge and more like a wrecking ball. He was winning arguments, yet losing the respect of everyone who truly mattered. His brain was a crowded theater where the same tragedy played on a loop, reenacting disagreements and perfecting the stings he should have delivered. It's a heavy brand of living, isn't it? Julian was running a marathon in a cage, exhausted by the sheer friction of his thoughts. His jaw was a locked gate, teeth grinding against the phantom pressures of tomorrow. This is a specific kind of soul weariness that sleep cannot touch. He thought he was being powerful by not taking any nonsense. But in reality, he was a puppet, and his emotions held every single string. He was carrying the invisible burden, a chain forged from his own reactivity and the weight of stones that were never his to carry. But what Julian didn't know, and what most people never realize, is that there is a specific reason why some people can remain unmoved while others shatter. There is a hidden integrity to the spirit that Julian was about to discover in the most painful way possible through Master Ren. But first, he had to face a silence so loud it would strip him of his armor. And you are about to see why that silence is the only way to reclaim your throne. Julian climbed the mountain path with a head full of ready-made excuses, expecting Master Ren to be a fountain of secret source advice. But when he stepped into the hut, the silence hit him like a physical wall. Master Ren didn't offer grand proclamations. He simply was. It was the kind of quiet that makes your own heartbeat sound like a construction site. Julian's ego was screaming. Every time he inhaled to fill the void with stories of his boss or his failures, Ren's hand would freeze. This was the confrontation with stillness he hadn't bargained for. You see, Julian's desperate need to be heard was actually a deep-seated fear of being invisible. He thought his words were weapons, but they were actually just leaks in his spirit. He was being taught that authority isn't taken, it's held in the gaps between breaths. Julian was finally learning that his authenticity was just a mask for the heavy stones of validation he was begging others to carry for. He was starving for attention because he didn't know how to feed his own soul with silence. But just as Julian thought he couldn't take the tension any longer, Ren reached for a weathered, dangerous piece of pottery that held a test even more brutal than the silence. What happened next is the exact moment most people fail in life, and understanding this specific trap is the only way to stop the constant drain on your success. Ren reached into the shadows and pulled out a cup that looked like it had survived 1,000 battles, its rough clay spiderweb with deep fissures. Without warning, he filled it to the brim with hissing, scalding water and pressed the vessel into Julian's unsuspecting palm. The sting was immediate, a swarm of hornets attacking his skin. Julian's instinct was to howl and drop it, but Ren's gaze locked him in place. "This cup," Ren whispered, "is your character, the vessel that's supposed to hold the fire of your life." Julian realized then that his feelings, that scalding, restless water, weren't the problem. The problem was the integrity of the cup itself. He was suffering the burn because he was fighting the heat instead of accepting it. much like how you suffer in your daily life because you are fighting the weight of stones that are not yours to carry. Most people spend their lives trying to cool the water, complaining about how unfair the world is, when the real secret is tempering the clay of your own soul until it's unbreakable. True authority belongs to the person who can carry a boiling soul without letting a single drop spill. But how do you stop the trembling when the heat becomes unbearable? Julian discovered a mental seal that changed everything, a technique that turns pain into a cold pocket of peace. I'm about to show you that exact ritual, but you first need to understand the shield that most successful people use to protect their hearts from being mapped by their enemies. Julian stopped trying to keep the cup still. He started being the stillness itself. The moment he surrendered his fight against the heat, the world seemed to tilt into a different gear. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We think that by tensing up, we gain control over the chaos. But Julian's rigid resistance was exactly what was making his spirit break. He was no longer a man holding a hot cup. He was the silence holding the man. Master Ren watched as the ripples in the cup smoothed into a perfect dark mirror. He then whispered the words that would guide Julian's future forever. Silence is the shield, the tongue is the target. When you speak your feelings first, you are handing your enemy the map to your own heart. You are telling them exactly where to strike to make you bleed and lose your throne. By staying silent, you remain a mystery. And mystery is the ultimate source of authority. True kings and queens don't explain their peace. They simply occupy it without apology. To master this, you must build the 3-second vault inside your mind tonight. A mental ritual to catch that burning reaction before it reaches your lips and let it die in the dark. But even with this vault, many still fail because they are trying to protect a heart that is already too heavy. Julian felt lighter because he poured the water away, but most people are still carrying 1,000 stones from their past, debts, regrets, and other people's expectations that make silence feel impossible. There is one final secret to making this power permanent, a way to ensure you never pick up those stones again, which I am about to reveal. Julian walked down that mountain not with a louder voice, but with a more powerful presence. He realized that every time he kept his tongue still, he was building a fortress around his future. The world will always try to hand you a scalding cup. It will try to provoke you, test your cracks, and wait for you to spill. But you now know the secret. The heat only burns you if you let it move you. Tonight, I want you to look at the cracks in your own life. We have all had moments where our feelings spoke first, and our success paid the price. A burned bridge, a lost promotion, or a hollow victory. These are the moments where you were carrying too much, reacting because your cup was already filled with the weight of things that didn't belong to you. Many of the stories you hear here aren't just stories. They reflect the invisible weight you may be carrying every day. If you're tired of holding pain, responsibility, and guilt that were never yours, I created an ebook called The Weight of Stones That Are Not Yours. It's for those who want to let go, set boundaries, and live with more lightness. You've learned the 3-second vault to stop the leaks, but this ebook is the guide to emptying the fardo entirely, so you can finally move with the authority of a king who has nothing to prove. By clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment, you'll also receive 2 vital tools for your journey. Learning to let go and when saying no is an act of self-love. These aren't just bonuses, they are the blueprints for ensuring your cup never cracks under the pressure of the world again. I want to hear from what is one cracked cup moment from your past? A time you spoke too soon and wish you could take back? Drop a comment below. If this story offered you refuge, join our community. Subscribe and hit that bell. Stay still, stay powerful. I'll see you in the next story.